So basically we started exoskeleton. In today's video we'll see the detail of skull, right? So let's start it by few things. First thing, here in this skull is the main part of our body. It's like our entire facial bones, our head, our brain, all parts are in this main region. Then these eye like structure you see, that's basically called as orbit. That's called as a orbit, right? So you'll see few kind of joints, few other things, but before that let me just introduce these all things. First one, we have four main part of our brain, right? I hope you know that, but still first one that you see called as frontal, second one parietal, third one temporal, fourth one occipital. So I hope it would be like very much clear. So mainly skull have these all parts, and these all parts have their own function. Okay, so here let's start with their functioning. So these all parts have their own functioning. Let's start. It's like in last nervous coordination chapter we covered out everything, but again for frontal it's simply which control our complex functioning. In complex functioning, what could be like your imagination, your problem solving skills, problem solving skills, and creativity, your decision making, your personality, everything comes in the frontal lobe. It's the main part which seems quite big. Then comes the second one, that's about parietal lobe is simply which covers out our memory, and like in that we can tell about the size, shape, the distance we count out, our all other things like sensory processing, our language processing. These all things comes in the parietal lobe. Then we have temporal lobe. For the temporal lobe we have the auditory sensory area, like all things related to ear, auditory. Then we also have temporal lobe which also help in if someone praise you or just appreciate your effort. This means at the time you laugh or you sometimes give them back a reply, that's even controlled by our temporal lobe, even neuron relay in this side. Then comes the last one which is about occipital lobe. So occipital lobe which is about the last one which is about occipital, which is eye like region, which have optic nerves. Optic nerve goes from back to the occipital, which is the last part, and every visual sensory comes in this area, this part. So how is that? In this one we have basically two types. How are these types? Basically we don't consider them as a type, but still we have kind of divisions. Or first one you see called as visual sensory area. Second one called as visual association area, right? I'll tell you difference. These two, first one sensory area is something, in this one your picture will be formed. Now picture of what? If you're just thinking, if in your mind there's a picture of this one, but you will not know the name, so the picture, whatever you have seen, the recognition of name would be here. So your brain will tell you, oh wow, you have wondered about the tree, so that will tell you it's a tree basically. So these all lobes comes in the skull region. So let's highlight our first part which is about the four lobes. Parietal, first one called as parietal, second one called as occipital. So you can mark the position, this one occipital, parietal. Then here we have another one over here which can be seen, frontal, which you can see it's kind of huge because it controls even so many things. Then we have a last one which is temporal lobe. Okay, temporal, I cannot see right now. Here's the temporal bone, so this means the down at the back side we will see this kind of as well, or it might be here. Okay, here we have temporal bone again, occipital, these things. Then what you'll see one more thing. What exactly is that? Here you'll see one more structure. What is that? So that are two more things. First one called as sphenoid. Sphenoid is what? It is basically a place which touch like every part of the cranium. You cannot see that easily, but I will try to show you. So every part touches this. Every part of cranium is touched by a sphenoid, and this is also called as keystone of. This is also called as keystone of. So here this is also called as a keystone of cranium. So this is also very important part. This also called as keystone of cranium. Then comes the second one, that's basically called as ethnoid. What is this? This is basically which can only be seen throughout our orbit of eye. Now orbit of eye is simply a structure in our skull. If so, these round like shape, and here we have teeth. So this structure here knows these eye like circuit called as orbit. So orbit of eye, this can only be seen throughout the orbit of eye, nowhere else, right? So here let's check it out. Then we have few other things. Let me add picture again. So here these all parts. Then what we'll see, occipital, temporal bone, parietal bone, sphenoid bone, frontal lobe, and here frontal lobe is here. This is kind of front view, which is whatever we see here, that's called as a nasal bone. Here we have sphenoid bone, which you can see is in the orbit, which bone can only be seen over here, nowhere else. Then we have temporal bone over here. We have now these are the facial bones, basically lacrimal, zygomatic, maxilla. These all things comes in a facial bone, which we'll discuss in the coming video. Today was only about the skull. So I hope it will be very much clear. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.